Hello, beautiful people. We are tuned into Amogate Radio Communications, and this is Tech Education in Early Childhood. I am your host, Anointed Olusumboye, or may you know me online as Anointed Excel. It's Tuesday, 5 p.m. West African time and 12 noon Eastern time, and today marks the very first episode of this global radio series I have been aching to bring to life. And trust me, you will see why in a moment. Our first topic for our very first episode is titled The Global Crisis of Delayed Digital Literacy and Why Early Tech Education Isn't Optional Anymore. Emphasis on the early. I repeat, the global crisis of delayed digital literacy and why early tech education isn't optional anymore. Let me ask you something. Did you grow up with a smartphone in your hands? Or did you remember your first experience with a computer? How old were you? Now think of this. Somewhere in Finland, a 4-year-old child is programming a toy robot that finds its way home. Bebot. But in many parts of Africa, Asia, and even the West, an 8-year-old has never used a mouse. This isn't just a tech gap, it's a developmental delay, and it really matters. Let me paint a few real pictures. You see, a mother in Lagos at age 35 sweating over how to use Excel. I mean Microsoft Excel. A father in rural India, 40 years old, struggling to navigate a smartphone. A child in Detroit, already labeled behind by age 8 because they can't use digital tools the way their peers can. These are not isolated stories though. They are global symptoms. And you know what? We are not just talking about access to devices. We are talking about the missed timing. Because there's a window and it closes faster than we think. You see, between the age of 0 to 7, a child's brain is at its most flexible, according to the Center on Developing Child at Harvard University. Neural networks are forming at 7 to 1,000 new connections per second. Can you imagine that? If we don't teach these fundamental tech skills at this stage, we are not just delaying tech fluency, we are delaying how they think, how they solve problems, and how they create. This is why tech education is not some fancy luxury. It is not coding for kids because it looks cute. It's about preparing their brains for the world they will actually live in. And believe me, the world is already here. Now let's talk about this phrase, digital literacy, because I've been talking about digital literacy and our topic is also titled The Global Crisis of Digital Literacy. Now, what is digital literacy? Because I know some of you are thinking, this one I want to turn my baby into robots. No. Well, it's actually a fair concern. But the truth is, digital literacy at this age doesn't mean handling a toddler a phone and letting them scroll endlessly. It means teaching them how to use age-appropriate tools thoughtfully, creatively, and safely, because it is very, very important. It could be digital storytelling tools that helps them express ideas, or simple logic games that build problem-solving skills, or even teaching them to ask, is this information true? It is not passive consumption, it is active learning. Now, another phrase you will hear me use a lot on this show is early tech exposure. What do I mean by early tech exposure? When I say early, I mean age 0 to 7. Yes, that's early, age 0 to 7. But I'm not saying let your 2-year-old or your 3-year-old child spend 3 hours on YouTube Kids. I'm saying we can intentionally introduce tech tools that support their development and not replace it. For example, a 5-year-old using Scratch to animate a story about their favorite animal, or a preschooler using programmable toys like Bebot to learn directions, sequence, and logic. These are tools that help kids become makers, not just users. Let's quickly talk about a few myths I hear all the time, especially in schools, meetings, and those spicy parents WhatsApp group. The first myth I hear is early tech exposure will damage my kid's brain. But the truth is, what harms the kid is unguided, excessive screen time with no structure of learning. But structured and age-appropriate tech, that's the brain builder. The second myth I also hear is kids will figure it out later. Yes, I always hear when parents say, they'll figure it later in life. But the truth is, they will figure out how to scroll on TikTok, how to watch videos on YouTube, but without structure. They won't know how to code, they won't know how to research properly, or even collaborate online. Also, the third myth I hear is tech kills connection. Not when used intentionally, it can actually deepen our connection. Imagine this: children recording podcasts together, co-creating a digital comic book, or even interviewing grandparents on Zoom. That's not tech replacing play, that is tech expanding what play can be. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back into it. Alright, welcome back and thank you for staying tuned. I want to introduce something you will come to love in this series, and this is the 5 C's of early childhood tech education. These are not random words I cooked up in the shower. They were coined by the Center of Technology in Education at Johns Hopkins University, and they've become a very powerful framework used globally to shape early digital learning. If you are with your notepad, please kindly write this down. Now, the 5 C's of early childhood tech education are communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and computational learning. I'll repeat that. The 5 C's of early childhood tech education are communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and computational thinking. Now let's unpack them one by one. The first one we have is communication. Now, what is communication? This is about helping kids express themselves digitally. For example, using microphone to record their own podcast, or using drawing apps to share what they learned in the class. When a child can speak, show, or even write digitally, their confidence skyrockets. Now, the second one we have is collaboration. We are in a teamwork driven world. Even toddlers can learn this. It could look like co-building a digital puzzle or filming a class kit together. They learn empathy, turning takes, and how to work with others both online and offline. Now, the third one is creativity. Kids are natural creatives. They are absolutely creative naturally. Tech just gives them more crayons. Let them try digital painting, remix music, or even stop motion videos. We are not throwing away the traditional play actually, but we are multiplying it. Now we have the fourth highlights of our 5 C's of early tech education, which is critical thinking, and this is actually very important. How do you teach a 6-year-old how to think critically? Ask: is this online story real or made up? Or give them a broken app or a broken game and say, what is not working here? Tech can teach them to question and not just copy. The fifth one we have is computational thinking. Don't let this one intimidate you. It doesn't mean becoming a software engineer at age 4. It is about logic, sequence, and problem solving. like programming a toy to fetch a block. It teaches the children how to think and not just what to think. Now let me tell you a story, a real one. She never raised her hands in class, but the day she presented her design, she got a standing ovation. Let me tell you about Rita, a girl whose confidence was buried until creativity found her. A school I worked with once asked a simple question. We want our pupils to express themselves in a better way, not with more English, not louder voices, just freely. And they didn't know what tool to use, but I did. We introduced them to Canva for Education, a free, simple and powerful tool, and that was when I met Rita. Rita was a quiet girl in primary 5, always at the back, never volunteered, never spoke unless she was called. But when we introduced Canva, something shifted. She started designing quietly. At first, it was just flowers and shapes. Then one day, her teacher showed me a poster she made titled "Why My Mommy is My Hero." It was a tribute, a collection of pictures, drawings and captions about her mom who had passed away a year before. No one knew how much she was carrying, but in that moment, through digital art, she found her voice. Her teachers cried, and I was even very, very emotional. The class clapped. That one poster started a ripple. Now Rita runs the visual squad in her school. She teaches other students how to use Canva, and she even helped design her school's events flyer last time. Not because we taught her how to be creative, but because we gave her the platform to discover it. So no, tech isn't just about robots and codes. It is about turning silence into stories, turning fears into confidence, and turning loss into leadership. Schools, don't overlook the quiet kids. Give them tools to speak up. And parents, creativity is a language. Let them explore it. For the educators, you don't need a full lab of machine to make impact. Canva is free. You can start small. Here's what is at stake. A 2022 report by the World Economic Forum estimated that by 2030, 85 million jobs may go unfilled globally because of a lack of digital skills. And this is not just statistics, it is a warning sign, because while we hesitate, the world is moving. In Finland, digital skills are taught alongside maths and reading. In Singapore, young kids are introduced to AI using playful games. And in Rwanda, rural schools are using low-cost laptops to build digital familiarity, even with limited internet. And guess what these laptops are? They are solar-powered laptops, where you don't have to wait for electricity to be restored before you charge them. You can just charge them using the rays from sun. And here we are still telling 6-year-olds that tech is for adults, or tech is for older people. Still asking teachers to introduce tech when they've never been trained in it. Still treating digital learning like an optional luxury. We are not saying throw away the chalkboard or the whiteboards or the marker. We are saying upgrade these tools. I get it. Change feels like a mountain when you are already carrying so much as a parent or a teacher. But here's what I always say. You don't need to know everything. You just need to start. Introduce one tool. Ask a good question. Support one curious child, because the longer we delay, the harder they catch up. I'll repeat that because it needs to be emphasized. The longer we delay, the harder they catch up. Imagine a girl in Nairobi who learns code at age 5. She might just become Africa's next robotic innovator. Or a boy in Manila who creates a podcast at 6. He might just become a global voice for truth and peace. But only if we start now. As a Chinese proverb says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. So let's stop waiting. We've covered a lot today. From what early digital literacy really means, to busting myths, to the 5 C's of tech education in early childhood, to the beautiful story of Rita. Let me say it again. This is not about gadgets, it is about opportunities. So whether you are a teacher, a parent, a school owner, or a policy maker, start where you are. Use what you have and remember who you are doing it for. If you loved today's episode, or even if it's challenged you, we want to hear from you. Please drop a comment and follow the conversation online, and share this with someone who still thinks tech is just for adults. And even if you forget everything we've shared today, please remember Rita, because this isn't just another talk show. This is Amogate Radio Communications, where we spotlight the ideas shaping the future, especially for the next generation. Next week on Tech Education in Early Childhood, we are going deeper and we will talk about how early tech education can transform the entire communities, not just classroom but cultures. Same time, same place, same passion. Live from the studios of Amogate, this is Tech Education in Early Childhood, where purpose meets possibilities. And never forget, if we don't teach them tech early, the world will leave them behind. Till next week, keep teaching it early, keep teaching it well, keep teaching it everywhere. Only on Amogate Radio Communications. Stay blessed.